BTS reunites in tears and thunderous cheers. What really happened during that earth-shattering Jamais performance in Goyang? How do you describe a moment when time seems to collapse, when voices once separated by silence converge in a single cry that echoes across generations? What happens when the stage becomes a sanctuary for memory, emotion, and healing? And what did fans truly witness on the night of June 13th, 2025, when Goyang shook with the weight of something far more powerful than sound? Was it just a performance, or was it a message? It wasn't just any concert, and it wasn't just any day. The air inside the Goyang Stadium was thick with anticipation, thousands of light sticks illuminating the venue like stars trembling before dawn. The crowd had gathered for what was officially billed as the Hope on the Stage tour final, the climactic ending to J-Hope's triumphant return to solo artistry. But beneath the surface of fan chants and setlists, an undercurrent of something deeper ran wild, something unsaid, something felt, because that night was June 13th. A date carved into ARMY memory. The date BTS was born 12 years ago. On June 13th, 2013, 7 young men took their first steps onto a stage that would change the world. In 2025, the world returned the favor, but no one expected that song. No one predicted those three. No one was prepared for that CRYAS J-Hope stood under the blinding lights, midway through what many thought would be his final act before taking a creative hiatus. A sudden dimming of the lights caused the crowd to gasp. And then a single piano note, a chilling silence. And suddenly, without warning, Jeon appeared. Then Jungkook. The crowd screamed so loudly that the roof of the venue could have collapsed. And together, they began to sing, "I'm the only one who's hurting tonight, Jamais." A song that, to the uninitiated, might seem like just another ballad from their Map of the Soul Persona album. But to ARMY, it's a heart-splitting cry. It's vulnerability, failure, confusion, and trying again. And on that night, it was also reunion. The emotional blast that followed could be felt in every scream, every tear, every trembling hand. Jeon, the eldest, barely out of his own solo military return, stood tall but visibly emotional. Jungkook, long silent in solo efforts after his own post-discharge controversy, sang as if his voice had something to prove. J-Hope, who had given the night his name, seemed to hand the very stage over to the brotherhood that had first given him his wings. Why Jamais? Why now? And why those three? That's the question that has lit up global forums, lit the internet ablaze, and left even seasoned armies speechless. For many, it was a gift. For others, a signal. But to those in the stadium, it was more than that. It was a resurrection. The performance wasn't planned. Or if it was, no one was told. No teasers, no leaks, no press statements. Even insiders at HYB were reportedly unaware of the exact lineup. Staff close to the event said that rehearsals were conducted under a veil of silence, with blacked-out schedules and closed stage protocols. One anonymous stage crew member claimed to have been dismissed for even hinting at a guest surprise. And yet, the audience didn't just witness a surprise. They witnessed history. IT wasn't just a performance of Jamais, it was the performance. The emotional load carried by Jeon, J-Hope, and Jungkook seemed impossible. Each had walked a hard road. Jeon through the lonely months of early military enlistment, Jungkook through the firestorm of solo scrutiny, and J-Hope through the burdens of carrying hope alone. And yet here they were, fragile, raw, and utterly powerful. Cameras zoomed in on Jungkook's face as he sang the line, "Please give me a remedy." His voice cracked. He looked out into the sea of fans and mouthed something that many believed was, "I missed you." J-Hope, the eternal sunshine, held back tears as he harmonized. Jeon, always the anchor, placed a reassuring hand on each of them when the song ended, but not before wiping away his own tears. And then, silence, and words. Just 3 men, bowed under the weight of memory, standing hand in hand. Was this the start of BTS's full reunion? The rumors had been growing for weeks, especially with Jin's recent fan concert and RM's cryptic messages on Weverse. V had been spotted at the venue hours before the show, and Suga was rumored to be present behind the scenes despite still being in alternative service. Even Jimin, known for his quiet support, was seen arriving with a small entourage, reportedly refusing to enter via VIP access, choosing instead to mingle discreetly in the crowd. The message, though unsaid, seemed deafening. This was no ordinary comeback. The city of Goyang itself had become a pulsing heart of K-pop celebration. The 2025 BTS Festa, running alongside Jin's fan concert and J-Hope's finale, had turned the region into a pilgrimage site. Streets were draped in purple, with banners reading 12 years with BTS hanging from every post. Fans traveled from over 60 countries to be part of the celebration, many claiming they came with no ticket, just hope. Was it fate that brought Jamais to that stage? The song, which translates to never seen, is the paradoxical cousin of déjà vu. It's the sensation of unfamiliarity in the familiar. The moment you look at something you've known forever, and suddenly it feels foreign. How poetic, then, that this song marked their reunion. The boys were home, and yet the world had changed. They had changed. But somehow, in that moment, they found each other again. Social media exploded within seconds. Hashtags like #Jamais Reunion, #BTS 12th anniversary, and #jungkook J-Hope trended globally for over 24 hours. Fan theories erupted. Was this a hidden message that a new album is coming? Was this a teaser for the long-awaited OT7 reunion? Even Korean news outlets, known for their typically restrained tone, called the moment a tearful rebirth and the most emotional stage of 2025. International outlets, from Billboard to NME, ran breaking headlines before the performance even ended. And what of the fans? One ARMY member from Brazil, who had waited outside the venue since 4 a.m., told reporters, "I thought I came here to see J-Hope. I didn't know I'd get to see a piece of BTS return to us." Others were less composed. Fan cams showed fans collapsing in tears, clutching light sticks like lifelines, shouting through sobs. It wasn't just excitement, it was catharsis. And in the days that followed, as clips of the performance circulated, many fans said they watched it again and again, not just to hear the voices, but to feel the moment. Some called it spiritual. Others said it felt like saying goodbye to pain. Yet still, the question remains, what now? Jeon has resumed his public appearances with confidence. J-Hope has hinted at a documentary surrounding the final stages of his tour. Jungkook, who had remained notably absent after his post-discharge turbulence, has finally reactivated his official fan platform. And HYB? Silent. The company has not made an official statement regarding the Jamais performance.
No uploads. No YouTube clips.
Not even a tweet. Some fans believe this is to preserve the sacredness of the moment. Others think something big is coming. Could it be that this wasn't just a moment, but a message? Is BTS preparing to rise again, not as soloists, but as one? The final seconds of the Jamais stage might hold the answer. As the last note faded and the lights dimmed, a single phrase was projected behind the trio in soft purple letters. "The remedy is coming." It appeared only for a moment, but the world saw it, and ARMY never forgets. The words "the remedy is coming" weren't part of the setlist. They weren't printed on the official light sticks. They weren't in any tour merchandise. And yet, they became the final word of the night, the punctuation to a performance that felt less like a concert and more like a prophecy. Fans froze as the words appeared. Phones shook. Some simply stopped recording, not because their batteries ran out, but because they realized they were witnessing a whisper from the future. What did it mean? Some believe it's the name of BTS's next chapter. Others think it was J-Hope's personal message to those still battling loneliness after the group's hiatus. But most believe something bigger is brewing, because this performance wasn't a farewell. It felt like a prelude, and what makes it more haunting is that the moment almost didn't happen, according to sources close to the production. The inclusion of Jamais was a last-minute decision. J-Hope had reportedly been debating whether the show should end with a solo anthem or a group nod. In the end, his heart won over business. He made the call. He reached out. And somehow, Jeon and Jungkook agreed.
No contracts. No cameras.
just brotherhood. What happened backstage, though, was even more intense than what fans saw on stage. Several staff members reported an unusually emotional rehearsal the night before the concert. One said that Jungkook broke down midway through practice, clutching his mic and apologizing repeatedly for being gone so long. Another revealed that Jeon had spent nearly 30 minutes alone in the empty stadium after rehearsal, just sitting on the edge of the stage, eyes closed, as if remembering something too big to say out loud. And J-Hope? He reportedly stayed up the entire night, personally checking every light cue, every vocal balance, refusing to let the moment be anything less than perfect. There was something sacred in the air that night. Some say it was the song. Jamais is not just a track, it's a wound wrapped in melody. When first released in 2019, it was overshadowed by more high-energy hits. But fans who listened closely knew this was the heartbeat of the album. A confession.
A prayer.
A promise to keep fighting, even when the world becomes unrecognizable. For it to be resurrected now, in this fragile post-military, pre-reunion limbo, felt like more than a choice. It felt like fate, and then came the symbolism. Their outfits, simple, black, no embellishments, stood in contrast to the bright visuals of the rest of the tour. It was as if they wanted nothing to distract from the moment.
No backup dancers.
No visual effects. Just 3 voices, 3 hearts, 1 truth. Even their positions on stage, forming a perfect triangle, felt deliberate. A balance. A beginning. After the lights dimmed, fans refused to leave. The arena was filled with silent sobs, whispered chants of BTS Forever, and the sound of hearts breaking and mending all at once. For many, this wasn't just a highlight of 2025. It was the moment they had waited for since 2022, and perhaps the most powerful part of the night wasn't what was sung, but what was left unsaid. An press conference followed.
No cut.
No Instagram post. The performance was raw, untouched, and unfiltered. It existed for those who were there, and for those who would carry it forward like gospel. Even HYB, a company known for capitalizing on every possible content opportunity, has remained utterly silent. No replay links. No press statements.
No monetización.
And that silence has been louder than any promotion. It's spoken to fans on a different level. This wasn't just for the world. It was for the 7 of them, and for the millions who believed with them. Meanwhile, the fandom is already mobilizing. Fan projects celebrating the Jamais reunion are spreading across continents. Murals are being painted. Reaction videos have garnered millions of views in under 48 hours. And trending topics refuse to leave the charts. The ripple effect of one song on one night by 3 members has cracked open something enormous. But not everyone is just celebrating. Some fans have expressed concern. Was this performance a farewell, disguised as a gift? Could this be a coded message that some members may not return to full group activities soon? Is this the last unexpected performance before a long silence? And if so, what does that mean for the dream of an OT7 comeback? The clues are scattered like constellations, waiting to be connected. Jin's recent interviews have alluded to something meaningful arriving this winter. J-Hope's subtle Instagram captions reference the horizon. RM's messages have become increasingly introspective, hinting at closure and new beginnings. Suga, who rarely speaks publicly during his service, posted a cryptic line from Jamais on his birthday, "Please give me a remedy." And V, who has been traveling in Europe under the radar, was photographed holding a notebook with the title, "Rewrite the Story." What story? Is Jamais just the beginning? One thing is clear, Goyang wasn't just a city on a tour map. It became a landmark in BTS's history, a place where time bent, where tears became bridges, and where silence carried more weight than sound. It was more than nostalgia. It was a recalibration of destiny, and for fans, it was a vow unspoken, but understood. If Jamais was the sound of remembering pain, the next chapter will be the sound of healing. But until then, we wait, holding our breath, listening, watching, and whispering the words that now echo across the fandom. The remedy is coming.